or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaws that are the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the subject bylaws have been made available to the public. Council may ask questions of staff, but once the hearing is over, no new information can be received. So just to be clear on that last bit, if you are here to speak about the public hearing, the solar energy devices, be sure that you come up during this time and don't wait till the public comment time, because you will be unable to comment at that time. Council debate on the bylaw will take place when the bylaw is considered after the conclusion of the public hearing, so it'll be later on tonight. At that time, any questions of staff will be for clarification purposes only. I will be inviting the public to come forward and present their comments. Speakers are asked to state their name and address for the record. You are encouraged to limit your remarks to 5 minutes and should include all of the relevant information in your presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded for all persons to speak a second or third time once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. I would now ask, I guess, Acting CAO to introduce this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a text amendment. It's somewhat of a housekeeping change. Currently, our bylaw talks about solar devices mounted on rooftops, but we need to be in a position to allow installation on both buildings and ground-mounted systems in all zones. So we're clarifying the allowable heights and projections into setbacks. So there are a number of sections within the bylaw that are being amended, including the definition of solar energy devices, and then several sections, as I say, to do with projections into setbacks, heights of buildings and structures, and then some of the more specifics under section 7.11.3. So there are a number of them. Hopefully, I could read them, but it would take a considerable length of time, so I'm hoping that everyone has reviewed them. As I say, it's a fairly straightforward text amendment. It just happens to involve a number of sections because it's mentioned in a number of places. Anyway, that concludes my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would care to comment on in this public hearing on this matter? I'll ask for the second time. Third time, is there anyone in the gallery that would like to comment on this public hearing matter? Okay. So could I have a councillor bring forward the motion to adjourn the public hearing, please? Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Carlson, all in favor? Carried. Okay, now item 6 on the agenda is your opportunity to comment. There's a 15-minute maximum period, and you can comment on anything that is highlighted on the agenda. Please give us your name, address, and the item number on the agenda that you wish to speak to. Our corporate officer will be making sure that we're staying within the 2-minute speaking time. Thank you.
I'd like to speak to item 11.4, the carriage house at 12416 Sinclair Road. My name is Dr. Kenzie Grodney. I live directly behind it at 12415 Wright Avenue. Honorable Mayor Booth and councillors, I thank you for allowing me to address you this evening. I'm here to talk about the current bylaws for carriage houses in Summerland. I have heard back from a few of you regarding my initial email to the district, and I thank you. The Honorable Mayor Booth responded stating, and I quote, "From a policy perspective, the construction of conforming carriage homes and secondary suites aligns with the objectives to increase the town's diversity of housing options. Additionally, residential densification is good land use planning. Carriage houses are typically constructed next to a laneway separating backyards. A lane could be 10, 15 feet, plus the setback makes it at least 20 feet from the neighbor's property line. This carriage house at 12416 Sinclair Avenue is 5 feet away from my property line and 2 stories tall. That's a 75% difference in a setback, and to say it is imposing is an understatement. In an area of town that is comprised of single-story ranchers, bungalow-style houses, to allow a 2-story tower construction just 5 feet away from 3 separate neighbors' property lines should be unacceptable. What's worse is that it looks down into all our surrounding yards. I've heard from several homeowners, some from across the 3 nearby streets, who tell me that they now feel imposed upon and are upset. I've submitted letters from them to this effect, and that is the point of this presentation today. The mayor talks about
Sorry to interrupt you.
residential density.
Sorry to interrupt, your time is up.
I'm sorry, I'm not done yet.
2 minutes are up.
I'm sorry, I'm not done yet.
Excuse me, Dr. Zagladny, if you could have a seat now, and we still have 13 minutes of this public comment opportunity. If somebody else would like to speak, then they have the opportunity to do so. If no one else wants to come up and speak, then you'll be afforded another 2 minutes.
2 minutes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jean Evanishin. I live at 12409 Wright Avenue, directly south of Dr. Nicole's residence. The question, I'm speaking to the carriage house on 12416 Sinclair Avenue, which has been presently under construction. I'd like to commend Councillor Patton for actually coming out to have a look at the structure, and we had a short discussion about it. When my husband and I moved to Wright Avenue 14 years ago, we thought it was a piece of paradise. It was a lovely little bungalow type house that suited our needs perfectly. We have a lovely deck in the backyard. We spend a lot of time on it, entertaining in the summertime. It's paradise for us. But now with this new structure, which is 2 stories tall, there are actually 6 windows, I believe, that now look down upon our property. Our property is surrounded by cedar trees. So before this building was built, we actually have a lot of privacy. Now with this new building, it looks down into our family room where we have quite a bed. We have company. We have company that use that as a bedroom. It now is lacking in privacy. Our back deck is lacking in privacy. Our paradise has been paved. In the words of Joni Mitchell, paved paradise and build parking lot. I hope that doesn't happen in Summerland again. So I'm asking the council to revisit the bylaws that allow this building.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janine Sentis. I reside at 21815 Garnet Valley Road. I'm here to speak to item 12.1 regarding the Summerland Rodeo Grounds Equine Development Society and our proposal for a partnership with the District of Summerland. I believe the correspondence that you would have read pertaining to this meeting was looking for a $21,000 investment into some park enhancements. I would like to be clear, in the last 3 weeks since the first proposal came to you, we are no longer looking for any money. We are just looking for a committed partnership with the district and our society on our society being able to fundraise to purchase some cross-country jumps as a park enhancement. As you may know, 3-day eventing is a discipline in the equestrian world that consists of dressage, stadium jumping, and cross-country jumping. The hub of 3-day eventing was in Salmon Arm for the last 35 years at a Top Line Stables. They have this fall decided to close. their cross-country component, and they're no longer offering that service to the equestrian community. Their jump package has been put for sale. We initially were looking at buying the jump package as an entire package of 77 jumps, but the jumps are for sale to the first buyer who comes. We were unable to secure $21,000 in the first 5 days that we were given to come up with the money, so a portion of these jumps have been sold to a facility in Alberta. There is still a small portion of jumps still available that are well suited for the Summerland rodeo grounds and for our committee to be able to host training, clinics, and future horse shows. We feel that our committee has the ability to secure that funding on our own. So what we are looking for today are 3 things. First, approval from the district to build the cross-country course. We need approval to seek sponsorship donations, which would include the ability to put up permanent advertising signage at the rodeo grounds.
Ms. Sentes, could I interrupt you just for a moment? We have to give the same length of time to you as to others. Again, if there is time at the end of our 15 minutes, then you're welcome to come up again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talk fast. I'm here about the carriage house on St. Clair Road as well. I live on Ward Street, and I actually face from my patio. I can look down. I used to have a view of the valley, but I no longer have that because of the height of the carriage home.
May we have your name, please?
Oh, it's Jane Blackmore.
Thank you.
My apologies. Do you want my address or stuff?
Yes, please.
Okay, so 11309 Ward Street, and I've been there for 14 years.
Thank you.
So I'll shorten this down, it doesn't take more than 2 minutes. But my goal here is to try to keep the carriage houses to 1 story instead of having a 2-story building. I'm hoping that we'll amend the bylaws so that we can have that in our community. Most of the homes in our community are neighborhood or just 1-story buildings. And it's very imposing having this large building put up. I also didn't understand why the neighbors were not asked about this beforehand, before this put up. I don't know if that's part of the policy of Summerland to talk to the community in the surrounding neighborhood. I'm concerned about the decrease in property value, especially for people back behind me. I can for sure. I'm not sure, loss of privacy has already been mentioned, loss of views, loss of sunlight. The problem too is the use of that particular property, I'm hoping I'm correct, someone certainly can correct me, is solely for income purposes only. Both existing homes and the carriage house are going to be occupied by renters. As far as I know, the absentee landlord has no vested interest in our neighborhood. So I would hope that the council can consider the people that already have homes in that area and take that into consideration when they're trying to put forth new bylaws and hopefully prevent that from happening. If someone in my backyard builds that, I would be very, very upset about having 2 stories turning into my backyard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward?
Mayor Booth and council members, my name is Donnie Allison. I live at 7400 Victoria Road, and I'm here to address the recreational cannabis shop that's going to be opened, I hope. As a proud citizen of Canada and a voting resident of the community of Summerland, I am strongly in favor of issuing a cannabis dispensary license to Green Gaia Cannabis Company, located at number 9, 7519 Prairie Valley Road, Summerland, BC. I further recommend this council limit the number of cannabis dispensaries to 2. This will keep the spirit of competition alive and not overrun our small community with dispensaries. These 2 licenses should be issued to small business entrepreneurs and not the provincial government. Issuing these 2 licenses to small business entrepreneurs will help keep our city council more in touch with the future growth of this industry and the impact on our community. I joyfully look forward to a thriving cannabis industry in Summerland with growing, manufacture, and sales of cannabis. In closing, I want to say I am proud of Canada bringing an end to this unjust prohibition. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Dr. Zagrodny, would you care to come forward again?
Thank you. I will shorten this for my last 2 minutes. I'm asking council for 3 things. 1, that you review and revise the current bylaws concerning carriage houses so that this kind of invasion of privacy and loss of property values does not happen again. A simple survey of the surrounding property owners would have prevented this atrocity. Also, the fact that the district insists for the smallest footprint, i.e. building up, not out, is a major contributing factor and should be re-examined. I also ask that the district review all property tax assessments of the surrounding homes surrounding this carriage house and make necessary adjustments. It's my belief that the property taxes should be reduced in association with a loss of value resulting from this construction that was sanctioned by the district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to repeat myself quickly. The 3 things that our society is looking for from the district is the approval to build the cross-country course, approval to seek sponsorship donations, which in turn would allow us to offer permanent advertising opportunities, much like what you see at the hockey arenas or the Pinnacle Soccer Club and their partnership with the City of Penticton at Kings Park. And then commitment of use of the facilities for equestrian-based activities. By getting that commitment of use, our society will be able to gain a $4,000 donation from the Kelowna Pony Club. We will be eligible for grants from Horse Council BC, Horse Trials BC for annual maintenance and upgrades to the course facility. So that is an expense our society can take care of. And it will enhance equestrian usage of the park on a regular basis. The opportunity we have here with the rodeo grounds being a public park is unique to the interior. There's no other facility like it within the interior. Everything is privately owned and very limited in use. The BC Summer Games is adding eventing into their roster for the 2020 Games, and they are in dire need of a training facility within the interior. They're also looking for potential venues to host this event in the future, and Summerland would be a prime opportunity for them. The interior pony clubs, there's 5 of them in our valley. They are looking for a training facility. They no longer have a place for the children to be able to do their activities. Summerland would be a welcoming home for those kids to be able to come. All of the money that our society would be able to raise with future events and horse shows, we would like to reinvest 100% of the profits into the infrastructure upgrades of the rodeo facility.
You're good?
Hands up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you. And that concludes the 15 minutes of our public comment opportunity. I will go into my mayor's report. Thanks are extended to the Summerland Chamber of Commerce and the many sponsors, volunteers, and our own district staff who made the 31st Annual Festival of Lights such a success last Friday. The fireworks sponsored by the Summerland and District Credit Union were spectacular. All the extra planning that went into the activities in Memorial Park made that event much more enjoyable for families. They even had their own light-up ceremony. So, well done, everyone. And for those who are wondering, the timing of the end of our national anthem with the light-up countdown clock hitting 0000 was perfectly planned. It actually wasn't at all, but there you go. On December the 1st, I enjoyed a delicious breakfast served by our Summerland Fire Department as part of their annual Toys and Toonies for Tots and Teens fundraising event. It was very well attended, and the generosity of Summerland citizens was demonstrated yet again. I'd like to thank Allison for hosting this fundraiser at Second Home, her restaurant there. Council spent Monday afternoon with our Director of Finance and Works and Utilities staff looking at rates for our 3 utilities, water, sewer, and electrical. It is sobering to see the gap between existing reserves and the funds required to address upcoming infrastructure expenditures. We'll hear more on utility rates later on tonight's agenda. On Wednesday, BC Transit presented Summerland options for the new regional service that will connect Penticton to Kelowna beginning in September of 2019. This additional route will do more than connect the South Okanagan to Kelowna. It will also connect the Similkameen Valley to Penticton and all of RDOS residents to West Kelowna who may be traveling on to Vancouver. On Wednesday, again, I and most of Council attended the Chamber of Commerce annual Christmas reception held this year at Second Home. Thank you to the Chamber Board and staff, Jordan and Tyler with Lightning Rock Winery, who poured libations for us, and Allison and staff at Second Home for a wonderful evening. On Thursday, Councillor Holmes and I attended the first regular committee and board meetings of the new RDOS board. With the Area D splitting into two electoral areas, D and I, there are now 19 directors around the table. So we have some pretty lively discussions, don't we, Councillor Holmes? I have been appointed to the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and I will leave it to Councillor Holmes to speak to his appointments that were received on Thursday. On Thursday evening, I attended the Trail Cycling Network and Sidewalks Master Plans open house at the Arena Banquet Room. If you are unable to attend and wish to provide your input, please go online to our summerland.ca website. There is a survey there that is open until December the 13th. Thank you. Acting CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a lot to report on, except that we're very excited that the skate park is nearing completion. However, it will not be officially opened until the spring of 2019. So while we have had some excited citizens trying it out, unfortunately, the park is officially closed, and we are required for risk mitigation purposes to prohibit entry until such time as it is officially finished. There is in fact some cement finishing work and all of the landscaping that needs to be finished. So while it's very close, we're not quite there yet. So we're really excited about that coming forward in the spring, but right now we're hoping that everyone can temper their excitement. Perhaps the snow will deal with that issue for us very shortly, but nonetheless, that's what's new this week.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
If I could just ask the acting CEO a question about the skate park. So when I drove past today, there must have been, maybe 15 kids with various types of wheels on it. So are we saying it's closed, or are we actually somehow going to close it?
So it is officially closed, and while we don't have the bylaw enforcement resources to stand guard and keep people out, we're asking people to stay out, and certainly should there become some issues there, the RCMP are able to request that people leave the facility. So certainly we're really trying to enlist some cooperation at this point,
right.
But
just to follow, is there any risk to the if the skate park isn't completed? Is there any risk to
that's why we're keeping it closed and suggesting that it not be used, because the finishing work is not quite complete. If there are rough edges or those kinds of things, yes, there is the possibility that there might be some minor damage, and we'd prefer not to see that. We'd like to get everything finished off quite fully before it's used in a normal fashion. Okay, thank you.
Okay, on to item 10.1, information items. There are a number of pieces of correspondence attached to the agenda. Is there anyone in council that would like to highlight any piece of correspondence? Okay, if not, could I have someone bring the recommendation forward, please? Councillor Traynor, Councillor Patton, all in favor? On to 10.2, committee and commission minutes. Council, any revisions to the minutes that you noticed? Nope. Okay, I'll ask someone to bring forward that resolution as well, please. Councillor Traynor, Councillor Barkwill, all in favor? Great. Carried. On to item 11, development services reports. We have a few tonight, and I will refer these to the acting CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and in lieu of the fact that I'm sitting beside you today, I am also going to pass this along to our development planner. Kevin Taylor will introduce the next two items.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Application DP 18-016 has been submitted to address geotechnical concerns in the high hazard development permit area for the construction of a pool, deck, and retaining wall at 22402 Bridgman Road. A geotechnical report from Rockland Consulting was submitted on November 26, 2018 that addressed concerns within the high hazard area and established Paul Glenn as the professional engineer responsible for monitoring the project. Staff are satisfied that the drainage and slope stability have been adequately addressed and that the professional engineer will be responsible for all field reviews of all foundation preparation and drainage installation works. Staff recommends that DP 18-016 be approved.
Thank you. Anything new, corporate officer, any new correspondence on this matter?
Nothing has been received, no.
Okay. Questions of staff? Council? All right, may I have someone bring forward the resolution, please? Councillor Traynor, could you read it out, please?
Yes, that the development permit application for Lot 7 DL 2562 ODYD Plan 750, accept plans B 3577 and H 578 in brackets 22402 Bridgman Road be approved.
Seconder, Councillor Van Alphen. Discussion, council? All right. Moved and seconded. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried. Kevin?
Part 2, DVP 18-025 has been submitted to address the construction of the retaining wall at 22402 Bridgman Road. Retaining walls are permitted in zoning to be a maximum of 1.2 meters in height. The retaining structure presented has approximately 2.6 meters and has been engineered by a professional. The proposed structure is 1.4 meters above what is permitted in the zoning bylaw. However, this parcel is approximately 3.7 hectares in area, and it is unlikely that a larger wall will have any negative impact on the neighboring properties. The high hazard development permit is also now in place to ensure that the structure is constructed under the supervision of a professional geotechnical engineer. Staff recommends that DVP 18-025 be approved.
Thank you. There is the opportunity for people in the gallery to comment on this development variance permit, beginning with a proponent. So if there's anybody that cares to comment, please come forward to the podium. All right. So questions of staff, council? Wow. Moving right along. Okay, could I have someone bring the motion forward, please? Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Carlson. And so this is approval then? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, I'll ask the question. All those in favor? Opposed? None. On to 11.3.
The district has received the first referral from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for a non-medical cannabis retail store to be located at Unit 9, 7519 Prairie Valley Road. Upon receipt of the referral, staff undertook public notification in accordance with Council Policy 300.6. A notification sign was placed on the property by the applicant on November 22nd, and a newspaper article ran on November 29th. Both forms of notification invited public feedback in writing and informed the public that it would be considered at this meeting. The store is proposed in Summerfair Mall, 3 units north of the IGA. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. till 11 p.m., which is consistent with the liquor store located at Unit 5. The proposed location has been referred to the RCMP and the school district, neither of which indicated their interests would be affected. Staff recommend that the referral LCRBC 18-001 be supported and that staff be directed to forward the subject application to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barkwell.
Well, unless there's questions, I might be getting ahead of myself. If there's questions for the planner, I was going to move the motion, so I'll wait.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. I just, in our package, we have the provincial government's guidelines for local government's role in retail stores, and they talk about gathering views of residents in the area where a proposed store may affect nearby residences. And it's basically, from my reading, it kind of it leaves it to us to determine what the definition of nearby means. And so I'm just wondering how, not necessarily specific to this application, but just generally speaking, how do we interpret that? How do we know who's a nearby resident or not?
Right. Kevin, you can probably speak to this more accurately than I can, but certainly that was the purpose of making a council policy, so as to provide us that direction, so that should it be required, if it was located within a distance, and I'm sorry, it's slipping my mind at the moment, that's why I'm asking Kevin for some assistance here in terms of the distance, but if there's no residences in immediate vicinity, there's not the need to, under that council policy, to notify surrounding property owners. So I believe, given its location in the mall, it falls outside of that criteria.
Okay, 'cause I remember us talking about in the policy having like distance from schools and playgrounds and things like that, but I don't remember us talking about any specific distance to any residences per se, but maybe my memory has escaped me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The residences in the same building as a proposed non-medical cannabis retail store were considered, and if there are any residences that share the structure, they would be mailed or hand-delivered a letter. In this instance, that was not the case, so the signage and the newspaper advertisement were what was stipulated in the policy.
Okay, thank you. That answers your question? Any other questions before we go through to the resolution getting on the floor?
I'm just wondering if there's any other correspondence other than the one gentleman that spoke this evening?
I've just checked and there's nothing that's been received.
Okay, Councillor Barkwell, will you bring that resolution forward, please?
I'd like to move the motion as written in our agenda.
Second.
To be supported, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Van Alphen supports, or seconds. Any further discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. That's carried. Item 11.4, carriage house at 12416 Sinclair Road.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to handle this particular item. We did receive direction from the CAO to bring this forward as a council item, although that it is an unusual circumstance. Generally speaking, when a land use that is sanctioned by the existing zoning bylaw comes forward, we carry on through the process without much remark. Now, as you are aware, there has been a significant amount of change in our department, and as well, we have noted that we will be looking at the zoning bylaw, and I believe that the intention was to recognize that there may be some uncertainty in the community with respect to some of the provisions within the suite policy itself, and we basically need to highlight the fact that at this moment, this does conform to the bylaw. Obviously, council is hearing and staff is hearing that there may be some things that need to be reviewed, and certainly we anticipate through the strategic planning discussion that we anticipate in January that this will in fact be an item for consideration, not just the zoning bylaw in general, but perhaps after discussion, depending upon council's direction, some revisiting of the suite policy. We do have a number of housekeeping text amendments, and so there certainly are a large number of possibilities moving forward should we decide to undertake some changes. But at this time, it does meet our bylaw requirements, and as such was approved, and is certainly legitimate at this time. I think that pretty much sums up our situation as it stands.
And questions will be directed to you?
Yes, thank
Take
you.
questions. Councillor Carlson?
So does that mean that there are things within this bylaw that, as the director, you see could be revisited and looked at because they may need to be updated?
Yes.
So you see where we need to go, and this conversation does need to happen. It's just a matter of making sure it's in the
Yes,
queue.
this conversation has been anticipated for pretty much the whole time I've been here.
Okay.
And so, as with some of the other items that we have on our agenda this evening, we were requesting council's indulgence to have a fulsome discussion at the time of the strategic planning, because there are simply just so many resources, and so we'll need to, as a group, prioritize those and take some direction from you moving forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a couple items I'd like to bring in regards to this. The one item that I have, and if I may, to the Director of Development Services, is under 7.4 carriage houses, and C indicates where a carriage house is sited closer to the rear property line than the required setback for the principal use. Any windows facing the rear or side interior property lines must have a sill height no lower than 1.5 meters above the finished floor elevation. My question to you, Director, is the principal, are we talking principal as the principal dwelling?
Yes, I would believe so.
May I ask that staff attend site to ensure that this bylaw has been met, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. The second item that I would like to bring up, and I do respect that we are going through strategic planning in January, and I realize that our bylaws are there for everyone, and that, but I do feel that in some cases we have unjust bylaw. And if I may, I would like to present a motion that whereby the maximum height of the carriage house cannot exceed the height of the principal dwelling in the following zones, which would be 10.1 residential medium lot zone, the 10.2 residential single detached intensive zone, 10.3 would be the residential large lot zone, the 10.4, the RSD3 residential estate lot zone, 10.5 the residential duplex housing zone when a single family dwelling is the only dwelling on that property, and 1410 CD9 the comprehensive development zone. if we could move forward, what this would do in our character neighborhoods is it would allow a carriage house.
Could I just interject for a moment? Are you asking to bring forward a resolution to have it on the table
Yes, please.
for this evening?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we need to follow that process, and then you can speak to it once you've made the resolution, it's been seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. So, were you able to record what he wants to have? Okay. So can you?
Shall I repeat this?
That would be great.
Come on, you guys got it.
Needs to be on the record.
We understand the principle, yeah.
I may summarize this slightly, that the maximum height of the carriage house cannot exceed the height of the principal dwelling in the following zones: RSD1, which is residential medium lot, RSD1I, residential single detached intensive zone, and so on, RSD2, RSD3, RSDH, and CD9, which is comprehensive development zone, exempting CR1 based on the minimum 1 hectare lot size, and CR1 country residential zone.
No,
Or is that another part?
No, not that one, because the lots are 1 hectare in size, and there'd be no point in limiting the 2 stories.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay.
Ending with CD9.
Fitting with CD.
CD9, comprehensive
CD9.
development zone.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Van Elfen. Okay, please carry on with your comments.
Oh, thank you. If we look at this motion, what it would allow is a carriage house by building permit to be constructed. If the dwelling unit is a bungalow, that carriage house wouldn't exceed the roof height of that bungalow. If there was a 2-story on that property, then the carriage house could be built to a 2-story because there would be no infringement. It would be what is already in the neighborhood. If there was a 2-story carriage house that was applied for where there was a bungalow unit, then a development variance would come forward to us where the neighborhood would be able to have the option to address or to give their concerns in regards to that carriage house being constructed. And I understand the zoning bylaw. We had it in there that no more than 7.5 meters for a carriage house to allow for a garage. But again, I believe that this bylaw is a little bit unjust for a lot of our character neighborhoods, and I feel that I'd like to pursue going for. I do get that we're doing our strategic plan, but I truly do think that a text amendment in this regard is well warranted. Thank you.
Councillor Carlson.
So, Councillor Patton, with all due respect to your experience and knowledge, I just want to confirm with staff that if council is to create and write bylaw amendments, there won't be a problem there, and whether this might be better to defer to ensure that it's been reviewed so we do it correctly and have the proper, make sure that the zones and all of the points are in there and we haven't missed something. I just wonder if that might be a better process to bring this forward to the next meeting with a review from staff.
May I comment? With my director's hat on, I would appreciate the opportunity to look at the program in a more fulsome way. Certainly, we understand the intent, and I am familiar with zoning bylaws that are written just so. I have experience with that, and yes, it does work, but there are a number of things that we should look at in the bylaw. I would be concerned with, if you will excuse the expression, a knee-jerk reaction. I would like to look at this in a more comprehensive way and bring forward a package of amendments that would deal with likely this issue and perhaps others, or answer more fully what we need to be taking into consideration. So I would appreciate the opportunity to report back to council on the matter.
Councillor Carlson
Just to follow up
and
on that,
Holmes.
so what I think the concern then becomes, how long would that take, and how many other applications come in to queue during this time? And I would just like to recognize that hopefully staff will sort of flag those and realize that there may be changes coming down the pipe, and they're not going to just let people show up tomorrow and file this paperwork, just so we know it's not going to allow a flood of two-story or whatever carriage homes.
Certainly, I can provide the information that we're only accepting complete applications and having plans drawn for a carriage house and site plans made available. An application is not cobbled together in a few hours. Often it would take considerable length of time, and considering we're moving into the Christmas season, I think it very unlikely that we'll have a deluge of applications.
Councillor Holmes, you had a question?
Yeah, not a question, comment.
Comment?
But,
Okay.
I certainly like the idea. I like the I think it's a good principle. I would like time to think about it myself, rather than just kind of make a decision since it's just sprung on me. I would certainly like to have a staff report on it. And I would like to know, what concerns there, if any, there might be taking this approach. For example, what impact might there be on redevelopments? So, like rebuilding, tear downs, and that sort of thing. But in principle, I think it's a great idea. I just like to see go through the proper process.
Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Depending on how it goes tonight, would it be possible that we also look at a moratorium where we put a hold on two-story carriage houses until a decision has been made, or until our Director of Development Services come back to us?
Certainly, it's a possibility, if council so desires.
You heard that? Possibility if council so desires. Could I just borrow this a moment? I guess I'll call a question unless there is more discussion. Okay, you have more discussion. Councillor Van Elfen and then Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I appreciate the concept, and that's why I second it, and I do also appreciate the comment that staff should have the time to look into this. Also, the comment made by Councillor Patton, it doesn't stop someone from possibly doing a two-story, but would have to come to council for a variance, and the neighbors would have the opportunity to speak on it. So it's not that it'll, that will kill it, two stories forever situation, but I would, I would welcome the staff's report also, and but to ask for a moratorium on it at this point in time, so we don't run into the situation we run into at present, I would support that.
Madam Mayor, if I might just comment, it seems to me, and I don't have the Local Government Act in front of me at the moment, but when there is a bylaw under preparation, we can hold permits for 60 days, I believe. So should we be provided that direction? I'm not sure it needs to be moratorium other than simple direction that all permits be held until such time as the bylaw has been given consideration by council.
Okay. And Councillor Carlson, you
I
had
was
something
just
to add?
wondering if in this process, it's better to pass or defeat a motion, or if it's better to table it and simply make sure it comes up, that way it doesn't get lost and it will come back if it's tabled or deferred, which would be my suggestion at this point, unless that doesn't work.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, you can do that.
I think so.
Councillor
I don't do it
Barkle.
often, do I?
I would suggest we defeat the motion. We know that staff are going to prepare, and they'll be coming forward with an alternative motion that will dot all the i's and cross all the t's that we're concerned about, because I know that there's, could be many unforeseen implications, and, I mean, I commend Councillor Patton for bringing this forward, getting something done, or getting the wheel turning, but this motion is a little bit dangerous, and I think staff has the direction they need.
Any other comments before I give my 2 cents worth? Councillor Trainer.
I just wanted to clarify, the maximum square footage for a carriage house, is it 90 square meters?
Yes, that's correct.
And so if there's 2 stories, is that then divided between the 2 stories, or is that?
Generally speaking, a carriage house, or the dwelling portion of the building is only on the 2nd floor.
Okay.
Usually you'll have a doorway, a stairway that goes up, so you have
So the purpose of 2 floors then is so that you would have a garage on the bottom floor?
Correct,
You
yes.
can't have living space on the
You
bottom?
could, but it would be very difficult. I haven't seen too many examples in order to stay under the 90 square meters and having 2 floors. It would be smaller footprint then.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
no problem.
All right. I also appreciate Councillor Patton bringing this forward. However, I hear what our acting CAO, who, when she's not sitting as an acting CAO, is there a Director of Planning Services, and we've heard that this is something that is already underway, and that she will most certainly consider this as part of her review. I think that rather than going forward with a resolution, that I don't think that a resolution is required, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Corporate Officer, because of the fact that Councillor Barkwill just pointed out that this is already being worked on, it's already being reviewed, and it's something that will be coming forward to Council again in the relatively near future. So I don't know if a resolution is even required. It's good that it's been brought out in the public and that the direction can be given to staff to make sure that this is part of the review of the zoning bylaw.
Absolutely, it's useful, yes.
Okay. Is that adequate?
I would say yes, it's part of the process that's ongoing, so.
Is that adequate for you, Councillor Patton?
Absolutely, Your Worship. It was something that was brought up, and I could see the flaw, so I brought it forward. But I do ask again of the Director of Development Services to ensure that our building department does check out that minimum sill height from the floor.
Thank
Would
you,
be
I will look into
appreciated.
that, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And that's the waiting for that. Great, so all good with that then?
Do we have to, there's a resolution on the floor, though. You still need to call the question.
So, did you want to withdraw your resolution? Or do you want to, I mean, it's kind of a moot point, but,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our Development Services Director already has the process in play, I've given my comments. Yes, I will withdraw.
okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Van Alphen?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, does the moratorium stand until we get direction from?
Council could provide direction that applications be held until such time as the policy is reviewed. We would need a resolution to accomplish that. Yes.
Would you like to bring forward that resolution, Councillor Van
Madam
Alphen?
Mayor, I would like to put that resolution on the table this evening, that we have a moratorium until up to 60 days, am I correct?
I believe that to be the case, yes. I will certainly check on the legalities of that within the time period and report back.
Thank you.
Seconder? Councillor Patton? Any discussion on this new resolution for the moratorium?
And Madam Mayor, may I
Yes.
just clarify that this
Yes.
is a moratorium simply, or we're putting a hold on applications for 2-story structures at this time. If it's a single-story structure, the application will proceed as usual.
I think the intent is form of, like, character of the neighborhood, two-story? Okay,
Thank you.
good, thank you. Thank you for checking that. Councillor Carlson, did you have something to add?
It's okay.
All right. Call the question. All those in favor of the moratorium resolution? Opposed? 2 opposed. Thank you. All right, so now we're on to item
Excuse me,
12.
Madam Mayor,
Sorry?
I don't think we received the report.
Oh, my apologies, we have not. We have not done that.
But it did its purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Councillor Carlson?
I'll move the report.
Thank you.
To be received for information.
Seconded by Councillor Patton. And all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Barkle, keeping me on my toes. So now, 12.1, Summerland Rodeo Grounds Equine Development Society correspondence and request. I'll turn this over to our acting CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received, as you heard earlier, some additional information because this is a continually evolving situation. However, we have reviewed the additional information today, and staff continues to feel that the recommendation that is before you remains justified. We will be meeting very early in the new year for that strategic planning session, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss this development further. There are quite a number of significant policy issues at play here that we haven't dealt with previously, and certainly this needs additional discussion and consideration. We would like to see some planning for that particular site before we would start making commitments on behalf of our community at this point. So that is our staff position at this time, and I would encourage you to certainly, while we don't want to provide the impression that we're saying no in any way, shape, or form, at this point, it's premature to say yes. So it's simply taking a second sober thought, if you will, and getting the right information to you for your decision-making process.
Thank you. You're welcome. Questions of our acting CAO, Councillor Carlson?
So always first. Does anyone else want to go first? Anyone? Oh, okay. The energy and commitment seems like it's there, and I think that's really inspiring from the folks who are working at the rodeo grounds. I'm just wondering if any of the items that were presented, the 3 items, if any of those things have any urgency that need to be addressed, that we might want to have some initial conversation to get some direction or see if there's anything we can do to support very short term.
Yes, so I did receive a list of items for consideration from our Recreation Department today, and given those 3 things, I don't believe that we can take any immediate action on any of them. As exciting an opportunity as it may be, we have a responsibility to be sure that we've given you all the information that you need.
Great. The original document, asking or needing support and money, you see it came and went, and I just want to make sure that doesn't necessarily happen if it can be avoided. So
certainly, as I say, it's a continually evolving situation, and it is very exciting, and we'll continue to have conversations so that we're prepared to have that conversation with you at the strategic planning session.
Any other questions of our acting CAO? Okay. Councillor
Sorry, I just have
Traynor.
one question.
Mhm.
I think her name is Janine. One of the things that she asked for was a commitment of use for horse activity at that location. Is that something that we've done there, since that's all it's usually used for? Or is that
I would agree, but I believe the commitment that we spoke of with Janine this morning is more about dates and specific slots of time.
Okay.
And not
Oh, I see.
understanding how that facility is currently booked or what the current commitments are. All of that would have to be researched before we then
I just
suggested that.
I didn't know if it was
yeah.
a broad commitment.
I believe that, clearly it's called the rodeo grounds for a reason, and yes, it seems like a natural thing to have additional horse-based activities there, but what that looks like in the future is not something that we're able to quantify for you this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Could I have a councillor bring the resolution forward, please? Councillor Van Alphen?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Barkwell? Any further discussion on this? Councillor Van Alphen?
I just want to make, just a comment that, yeah, this is exciting. I think our rodeo ground is highly underused, but I appreciate the fact that we got to do our due diligence with our Parks and Recs people and our strategic planning session and find out, because I know it gets booked for other events throughout the year, so we just want to make sure we're not stepping on anybody else's toe and do our due diligence. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, I have a question of the acting CAO. And I'm not sure if you can answer this, does the development or the increased use of the rodeo grounds, does it show up in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that was just completed?
My understanding is that it's a number, researching and developing a plan for that parcel is a number of years off, that yes, it was contemplated, but there are other priorities that were identified in sooner, if you will. But ultimately, once you have a strategic planning session, you may choose to alter those priorities.
Right. Okay. So we've got this approved, or the motion is on the table and it's been seconded. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? No, so it's carried. So we'll see that again at our strategic planning in January. Item 12.2, other flexible plastic packaging. Is there any more information on this, acting CAO?
I believe that Candace Pilling is here this evening. I'm not sure if she would like to give you a bit of an introduction, but she's certainly available for questions if you have them.
Great. Do you have something for us then?
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I can just give you a brief synopsis of what's going on. So through our Recycle BC program that we have, starting January 1st, we will be required to collect other flexible plastic packaging as a separate recycling waste stream up at the recycling depot at the Summerland landfill. It won't be part of our blue bin carts or any of those programs. It'll still be separate up at the landfill as is some of the other programs that we have, such as styrofoam and glass and soft plastics. We have introduced it to the community through the Light Up. Our Green Ambassadors handed out some information. We had a booth there. We've posted it on Facebook. We've got some information on our website. It's one of those things, once again, that, it's a learning and education thing for our residents as to how to properly recycle it. And unfortunately, it does need to be separate because it is processed separately from other recyclables. So we do need to keep it as a separate waste stream, and we have the recycling ambassadors up at the landfill on Saturdays, alternating Saturdays right now, and probably for a couple in January and February to also help out the residents with learning how to recycle properly up there with all waste streams, including this new one that starts in January. And I have included some information, brought it and just put it on the counter over here if somebody's interested or if they have any questions or further information, or it is on our website for use for residents, and they're more than welcome to contact us if they have questions.
Great.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Sure.
When it's the flexible plastic packaging, so anything that falls in that category can all be grouped together?
Yes, it'll all go in the same bin. It's just separate from the other materials that we already collect.
And are the blue recycling bags that we used to use, the blue bags, is that flexible plastic packaging?
No,
It
no, they're
isn't?
not, no.
Okay, so you don't put your stuff in that and then dump the, okay.
It has to be maintained loose. It needs to be, once again, same as all of our other material, it needs to be clean and dry before it can be placed in there to avoid contamination. And so we're trying to figure out some ways to make it easier for residents to move forward with these programs, and so we're working on them, and hopefully with education and with help from our green ambassadors, it will become a lot easier.
Yeah, education's a big piece. People want to know, but they have to have access to that. Okay, Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. What exactly is flexible packaging? Is it plastic clamshells? Can those go in recycling or not?
Well, that's dependent on which one, but the plastic clamshells go in our blue bins for recycling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not flexible packaging?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what's an example of flexible packaging?
So like a zipper pouch, or say anything crinkly. Basically, one of the biggest tests is if you go like this and it crinkles, that is other flexible plastic packaging. You know, there's the woven bags that you get your rice in or your oranges in, those go in there. Also things like your meat packages, as long as they're rinsed and clean, will be part of the other flexible plastic packaging. It's, we tried to create a brochure and handout and actually a recycling card that kind of details how to go through and test it, and then, you know, with working with the Green Ambassadors, it'll make it a lot easier as people just try it out, and if they follow the steps. But we do have even a little chart that will talk you through where to place it. So, and it's available online, or we do have printouts of them too. So
Great. Other questions? No? Okay, could I have someone bring forward that recommendation to receive for information, please? Councillor Barco, seconded by Councillor Van Alphen. All in favor? Carried. 12.3, Deputy Approving Offer Designation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, as the Director of Development Services, I am also the Subdivision Approving Officer, and we have recently, with the hiring of our Manager of Planning, the opportunity to designate him as the Deputy Approving Officer. So this is somewhat of a housekeeping change, but essentially the recommendation is there to appoint David Patey, Manager of Planning, the Deputy Approving Officer, in accordance with Section 77 of the Land Title Act, effective today.
Thank you.
I will move that motion.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Holmes. All in favor? Approved. Thank you. .1, this is the subject of the public hearing earlier tonight. Zoning bylaw amendment, solar energy devices bylaw number 2018-033. Over to you, Acting CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We did, of course, not receive too much response to this text amendment, but it is part of our move towards becoming more friendly towards solar energy devices. So we're excited that the bylaw would be considered a third time and adopted if there are no further questions from Council.
And are there any further questions or discussion? Great. Could I have someone bring forward the motion for third reading and adoption, please? Councillor Van Alphen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Patton?
That zoning bylaw amendment, solar energy devices bylaw number 2018-033 be read a third time, and that zoning bylaw amendment, solar energy devices bylaw number 2018-033 be adopted.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Patton. Any further comments or discussion? All in favor? Great. None opposed. 14.2, Water Utilities and Water Rates Amendment Bylaw Number 2018-038 and Fees and Charges Bylaw Amendment for Electric and Sewer Fees and Charges Bylaw Number 2018-039. Acting CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These bylaws are coming forward to you for the first 3 readings. Certainly, our Director of Finance is available. If you have any questions regarding these, Dave, I don't know, did you want to make a presentation at all?
I do have a presentation, if council wants to hear it again. It's more for the public, but...
Yeah, it might be nice for the gallery to hear the presentation.
Absolutely. So on Monday, December 3rd, council met as a committee of the whole to discuss the water, sewer, and electrical utility budgets, both operational and capital, as well as proposed rate increases in all 3 funds. So this presentation kind of goes through each of the different funds, and at the end proposes the rate increases as were discussed. So in the sewer utility, staff are projecting that for 2018, which still has a month left to go, we'll collect $2.9 million in revenues. Of course, the biggest component of that is domestic usage charges at 45%. That equates to $1.3 million. And the second largest item is parcel taxes of $730,000. And as discussed, those parcel taxes are directly tied to debt that the district took on 15 to 20 years ago in regards to the revamping of the sewer treatment plant. And those parcel taxes will stop being collected in 2023 when the debt is extinguished. On the expense side, we're anticipating $2.6 million in expenditures, 26% in labor, which equates to just over $670,000. And of course, the large component, the debt servicing, the 47%, which is $1.2 million. And again, that covers off a large portion of the facility that was built. From a budget perspective, moving into 2019, department directors did quite a good job in putting together their status quo budgets. There weren't too many additional items that needed to be looked at in many of the different departments. So the budgets that were presented to council and are being proposed here are primarily status quo. We're anticipating, from a revenue perspective in 2019, just under $3 million in revenues, with expenses at $2.76 million, which results in a surplus of $220,000, which would be put into the capital reserve fund for capital projects. When we look at the capital plan for 2019, we're anticipating expenditures of $341,000. There's a list of projects there that are anticipated to be completed. And on looking at the 5-year average, we're anticipating annually spending about $476,000. So we kind of tie that into the surplus of $220,000 and conversations about the asset management. That's actually the next slide here. When we look at the utilities average annual life cycle investment, so that's basically taking the cost to replace all of the sewer utility assets divided by the number of years that their useful life is. The district, based on current asset management work that's been done, at the highest level should be spending approximately $787,000 on capital asset renewal. Now, that takes into account industry best practices. That does not take into account kind of our current situation here in Summerland, looking at the different pipes and the different soils and things that we have. So as we move down to the right of that graph, what's happening is we're tweaking the numbers a little bit when we're looking at those assets and trying to either extend the useful life of some of them or taking into account how Summerland's geographical area can impact our assets a little bit less. But in the end, on the far right hand side, over the past few years, we've been investing just over $100,000 into our sanitary sewer. And as Mayor Boot mentioned in her mayor's report, it's definitely, there's a gap in our funding. So even looking at our 5-year average, we're anticipating spending about $476,000, annually. It still is below that kind of minimal threshold, and more work is being done from an asset management perspective, and council will be getting an asset management financial plan in early January to kind of look at some of these gaps and how we can close them and how we can fill them. On the water side, and in 2018, we're anticipating $5.5 million in revenues. The biggest component, of course, is domestic water rates at 51%, and that equates to just over $2.8 million. And parcel taxes being the next biggest one at 28%, or $1.5 million. On a expense side, we're projecting $4.8 million in expenditures. The three largest ones, debt, of course, being the biggest at 34%, or $1.64 million. Materials just slightly under that at $1.5 million, and labor and benefits at 24%, or just over $1 million. Projecting into 2019, we're anticipating just short of $6 million in revenues, and expenditures at about $5.3 million, with an anticipated surplus of $660,000 to be put into reserves for future capital. The capital plan is a little more robust than the sewer utility. 5-year average is about $3.8 million. 2019 alone is just over $3 million. Some of the projects are grant dependent. The Trout Creek Flume and water intake, for instance, it's a $3.7 million project broken out over 2 years, and it is completely grant dependent. There's a Quinpool water main replacement. There's a $500,000 Quinpool water main replacement, and as discussed at the Committee of the Whole, over the next 5 years, staff have incorporated $500,000 into water main replacements annually to kind of fix some of those really bad areas in the district. Again, the funding gap, annually we've been spending approximately $325,000 in our capital plan in water. And as you can see, there is quite a substantial gap into what our asset management figures are telling us that we should be spending. So again, we'll be bringing forward a report in early January to look at this and try to close that gap a little bit.
Thank you. Could you just hold off 1 second? Councillor Holmes has a question. Thank you.
Just going back to the capital projects for water, I couldn't find anywhere, when we were talking about the water meter replacement, and would that be a capital project? Would those be capitals?
Water
sorry?
Through the mayor, the water meter replacements are an operational item.
Oh, it's an operational item. Okay,
yes.
and it's in there.
It's in the operations,
okay.
Correct.
You know, I would just like to comment on that. I've been giving this a lot of thought since our thing, and I really think I would like to see a staff report on on the situation of our domestic water meters. I think when you have that number of water meters failing in the community, I think we need better information on why that is. And we just got the number that have failed, but you know, how do we know they're all not going to fail? You know, I just think that we're kind of we're in a dark. I feel I'm in the dark a little bit about the situation with our domestic water meters, and before we go spending money to have them all fixed, I would like to get full information on the situation of these meters. And you know, and a lot of the information we talked about in committee of the whole wasn't really available on what these water meters are doing for us.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Holmes. I'm glad he brought that up. It sort of goes with the philosophy, either we have water meters or we don't have water meters. And having that many that aren't working is well, it's not something I think anybody wants to see. And along with that, we should maybe have some targets saying that, you know, water meters will be replaced in the future once we get caught up within 6 weeks or 2 months or something like that. And then if we're not meeting those targets, you know, council should be advised why and whether we need to put more resources to it or whatever. But there should be a target for maintaining sort of operation as the levels of those meters that say 99.9 or 98 or something like that. Where do we go from here on that?
Councillor Carlson?
Just to add, I agree with both of you, and I think that if we know how many need to be replaced at this point in time, I would assume that getting that information together shouldn't, the information must exist, at least in some form, so it would be nice to have just a little bit more.
Okay, so we're a little bit off track of what we're talking about. However, if there's one of you three or anyone that would like to bring forward a resolution to direct staff to provide a staff report updating us on the state of the domestic water meters, please feel free to bring forward that resolution. Councillor Holmes?
I'll bring it forward, exactly what you said.
Okay.
And, I think how it relates to the budget here is I think we need to have that report and discussion before we go spend all that money on new water meters. That's how it relates. I'm happy passing the budget the way it is and requisitioning that money, but so I don't want to hold up that process, but I'd like to have that report and discussion before we actually go and spend that money.
Okay, understood, right? Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Barkwell? Any other comments on that particular motion? Councillor Barkwell?
And do you anticipate, Councillor Holmes, that this report would contain also objectives for once we're caught up for maintenance of water meters? Is that, you know, I mean, are we just, you know, what do you feel the scope of the report should be?
I would like to know what the issues are with the water meters, and I would like to know if it's just isolated to those 400 or whatever, or is it a problem with that meter? Is there some sort of inherent problem with that meter, and so they're all going to fail, and so we're going to have to replace them all? How much will all that cost us down the road? Or is it, you know, I don't know all this. I don't have the answers for all these.
Yeah, so it goes beyond just where our current situation is and what they expect in the future and how we're going to deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what the life cycle is of a water meter, residential?
They're between 10 and 15 years, dependent on the type of water that's going through them. As you'll recall, our Director of Works did note that Summerland's water it's granular. It's a lot more granular than other waters, so it definitely speeds up the process. The current
Shortens the life cycle?
Shortens the lifespan.
Lifespan, yeah.
That's why with this replacement, we're looking at newer technology that doesn't have moving parts within the meter itself. So the water, as it's running through, has nothing to corrode or deteriorate.
Okay, thank you.
But we can definitely put together a report. And the budget itself, although council is looking at it in principle here. The budget itself is not adopted until we consolidate it with the general fund, and that's not planned until about April, so lots of time for that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one final comment. I guess, I think we need to understand what the cost of metering is. And once we understand what the cost of metering, and I like to understand, we heard this afternoon in committee hold that we've saved 20% of water from agricultural metering. Well, we don't know, we've never received those kind of statistics for domestic, right? And so I'd like to know, what is the cost of metering compared to the cost of savings of water? It's hard to make good decisions if we don't have that kind of good information. So.
Okay. Councillor Van Alphen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe the 20% number is both. It's agricultural and domestic. I don't think you can separate that out. It's a number that's been created at our water treatment facility. That's what they're showing, the 20% savings in water, but that's all users.
Right. Okay, thank you. Councillor Traynor?
Was the cost for the meters for next year on the previous slide, or was that, did we see that last Monday?
No, that was on Monday's slides.
Oh, it was on Mondays, okay. Do we know what that was approximately?
143,000.
143,000? For how many meters was that? Sorry. Sorry.
So I think all of this will come back in the staff report. So if we can vote on the resolution, then all your questions will be answered. You okay with that, Councillor?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Thank you, Councillor Traynor. So let's vote on that resolution. Okay, and none opposed. So that's the new resolution. And David, could you continue, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
When we look at the electrical utility, again, for 2018, looking at last December as kind of a trend as to where temperatures would be and usage, we're anticipating that for 2018, revenues will be $11.7 million. The biggest component, of course, is residential rates at 58%. That equates to $6.84 million. And then commercial rates at 38 are $4.45 million. On the expense side, we are anticipating expenditures at $11.1 million. The largest, of course, being the electricity that we purchased through Fortis. That is $8.6 million. Going into 2019, we are anticipating revenues at $12.12 million with expenses at just shy of $12 million, generating a surplus of $150,000, which again would go into the capital plan. When we look at the capital budget for 2019, we are anticipating $8.9 million in expenditures. The largest, of course, is the Summerland solar integration project. We have $6 million of grant funding, as well as a portion of district expenditures on that, just under $1 million. So that is the largest project that is in the budget. In regards to rates, discussion was had looking at water, sewer, and electrical rates. The proposed rates for sewer are 5%. That increases the current monthly rate from $31.32 to $32.89. On the water side, a 5% rate increase again, with the current base rate of $39.62 increasing to $41.60. The base consumption fee would increase from 39 cents to 41 cents, and any overages over the allotment would go from $1.49 to $1.56. On the commercial side, we'd see the base rate increase from $36.07 to $37.87. And again, consumption would go from the 39 cents to the 41 cents. And just to note, that does exclude agricultural water. Council did make note to not increase agricultural rates at this time. And on the utility side, on the electrical utility side, a 2% rate increase is being proposed. The current base rate for a residential home would increase from $18 to $18.36. The consumption rates will increase correspondingly. And a commercial property would see its base rate go from $22.05 to $22.49. So in looking at these proposed rate increases and how they equate to a typical residential home, we're anticipating water to increase to $752 annually. That's an increase of $36. Now that takes into account an average home using 618 cubic meters annually. So that's how those figures were calculated. Sewer, that is a flat rate fee, so sewer an increase of $19 annually. And on the electric side, an increase of $32. And again, that's based on average monthly electrical consumption of 984 kilowatt hours. That's an average for a typical home since 2013 to 17. So that's how those figures were calculated.
Could you remind us again what a typical residential home is? Like it's 3 or 4 people living in a 3-bedroom house or something like that?
We look at it as 2 adults, 2 children. So 4.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. Your place.
And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation again. Any other questions of our, yes, Councillor Barkwell.
I was just wondering, to the Director of Finance, how sensitive is our water revenue to changes in the weather? If we get a really wet summer, we're going to see revenues go down 10%. A really dry summer, revenues go up. How do you forecast, given that it's based on consumption and consumption will vary, and how sensitive?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is quite difficult to forecast based on those exact reasons. When we forecast, we try to forecast conservatively. Being finance people, I've seen in other areas where people are somewhat aggressive in their forecasting, and it leads to shortfalls in revenues. So when we look at it, we try to forecast conservatively. Trying to anticipate more of a cooler climate as opposed to a hot, dry climate. So that's how we base our modeling off of.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, could I have someone bring forward the recommendation there, please? The resolution.
Point number 5.
You can discuss
yes,
when we get to that.
Yes, thank you. Let's go through the first 2 items, the that and the and that. And I'd like someone to read that too, so that we have the excluding agricultural in there. And then when we are looking at items 1 through 5, we will choose a date for the 4th reading, or for the adoption. Is that okay, Acting CEO?
Yes,
That's good.
absolutely.
Okay. Councillor Van Elfen?
So moved that staff be directed to prepare amendments to the District of Summerland's water utility bylaw number 2014-019 and to the fees and charges bylaw number 98-001 to increase utility rates effective January 1st, 2019, and that water, excluding agriculture, and sewer rates be increased by 5%, and the electrical rates be increased by 2%.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson, you're seconding? So we can have a vote on this first portion, please. All in favor? And none opposed, carried. And then if we could jump ahead to item 5 there, the special council meeting to adopt these once we've gotten through the first, second, and third readings. I'll throw it out there, I'm away, so the rest of this week, so you can, is there a day that doesn't work for anyone? Councillor Holmes.
So I'll be at OPW for you on
Wednesday. And then Thursday is RDOS.
Yeah, so Friday would work best for me.
Friday or
Tuesday.
tomorrow morning?
We need to give, don't we have to give
notice.
24-hour notice or something?
Yeah, but Wednesday morning would work, right?
No, I'm going to Kelowna.
You just need 4 people.
Oh,
is that-
if you don't need me, then that's fine.
We just need quorum, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm available.
Is everyone available Wednesday morning?
No.
You're not? Okay. How about Friday? Yes? Yes?
What time?
Morning or afternoon? It's just a short meeting, right?
End of the day.
End of the day?
End of the
Late afternoon.
later.
4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 o'clock on Friday, the 14th. Okay, so can I have someone bring forward the remainder of those resolutions, please? 15th, 14th. Councillor Carlson.
In regards to 14.2, I will bring forward resolutions to be read a first and second time and a third time for water utilities, and that electric and sewer fees and charges be read a first and second time and a third time as well. And then a special council meeting be scheduled for Friday, 14th at 4 p.m.
To consider adoption. Perfect. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Traynor? Any further discussion? All in favor? None opposed. Okay, on to 14.3. Council Procedure Bylaw number 2018-035, acting CAO.
Thank you. I'm going to turn this over to our corporate officer.
There's not too much to say, other than if it's adopted, this will come into effect January 1st in our first meetings.
Great. Councillor Holmes.
I'll move that council procedure bylaw number 2018-035 be adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Carlson. Councillor Barkwell.
Just a question. Now, we discussed having the council committee of the whole meetings on alternate Mondays. Was that a decision made, and when will that start?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, that was a direction from council. Those are not part of the procedure bylaw, other than the procedure that takes place during them. And the thinking was that would start in January.
In January, so opposite Mondays.
Yeah, and that schedule will be emailed out.
Great.
And as you may recall, there are other changes that potentially will come to the procedure bylaw, but this is to get us started on January the 1st. Okay, all in favor? None opposed? Carried. And fees and charges bylaw amendment for solid waste, bylaw number 2018-036. Are there any updates or new information, acting CAO?
Not that I'm aware of, Madam Mayor.
All right. And again, this is for adoption only. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Carlson, all those in favor? None opposed? Carried. 4.5, repealing council remuneration and expense bylaw number 2000-271, bylaw number 2018-037. Again, this is for adoption. Councillors Holmes and Carlson, any discussion on this? All those in favor? None opposed? It's carried. On to councillor reports. And again, I'm going to mix things up because I like to do that. Councillor Patton, you're up first.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Interesting week. Really enjoyed the light up on Friday night. I think kudos should go out to the Chamber of Commerce. It was unbelievable, the turnout we had. It was fantastic. I've met, in regards to my liaison with the Kettle Valley Railway, I've now made a couple contacts, which is great, with the first board meeting come up in January. And at this point, that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too enjoyed the Festival of Lights. It was a wonderful event. Oh, here. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I really enjoyed the Festival of Lights. I'm wondering if it was a record year for people. It was quite crowded and seemed like everybody was having a good time. I also attended the breakfast on Saturday morning hosted by our fire department. And I think I was the first person through the door. So I really enjoyed myself there. And also kudos to QP and the Christmas party. It was a lovely event. And I too had a smile on my face yesterday as I drove by the skateboard park, and there had to be 30 children in there with bicycles and skateboards. And so I think it's really going to be used well in the future. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Barkwell?
Last week I attended sort of a planning session for a group called First Things First. Not an official council function, but a group that I think is very noteworthy. If anybody interested in climate change and wanting to participate in certain of their events and raising awareness and getting information, I would recommend go to the First Things First website.
Thank you. And our own Tammy Rothery has presented at the First Things First meeting, so that's great. I agree. It's an interesting group. Councillor Carlson.
I think I have all the same things to report. Didn't go to the Santa Skate yesterday, but I had meant to, so hopefully next year I'll be able to attend. It's a really good event put on by the district, and it's free. So I guess this time of year is all about holidays and celebrations and sharing with people. Just this is our last meeting, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all those things, and I look forward to 2019. It's going to be a good year.
Thank you. Councillor Traynor.
I too attended Light Up, and it was a really great event. I just wanted to do a quick little mention for my mother tonight. My mom has been working on the history of Trout Creek. It's a book that she just finished, and it's been about 5 years. It's a labor of love for her, and it starts with stories from the First Nations and the first people that lived in Trout Creek all the way till now. And it's available at the museum, and a portion of the proceeds will benefit the museum. So if anybody's looking for some good Trout Creek and Summerland stories, it's good reading material.
Be a great Christmas gift.
Yes. I know someone that's getting one for Christmas. Thank you, Councillor Traynor. And last but not least, Councillor Holmes.
Okay, since you said I would say what my appointments were on RDOS, I just have to say that. So, yeah, we had our RDOS meeting last week, and I was appointed chair of the Protective Services Committee, which is basically policing. And in fact, we had Superintendent Jagger speak to the board, and he talked about how the RCMP are changing the way that they'll be reporting statistics, and which will be able them to dig deeper, to do some more data mining, to find out better information of what these stats mean. So so they'll know, like, if there's I don't know, 50 assaults, for example, reported, they'll know, like, right now we just told those are 50 assaults. We don't really know if that's just somebody pushing somebody on the street or if it's something of serious domestic violence. Or so they'll have better information. I'm sure you'll be hearing more about that. I was also appointed to the UBCO Water Advisory Committee. I'm not really sure what that is, but I guess I'll find out soon enough. And I'm Mayor Boots' alternate on the Okanagan Basin Water Board. I'm also the alternate on the Okanagan Film Commissions, for which I'm hoping to meet Gwyneth Paltrow someday.
That's why you're on it.
We're still hashing through the budget at RDS, I'll report at our next meeting of what will come out of that. I just as a heads up, though, there will be an increase. We have to pay for that regional transit system to Kelowna. 911 emergency call systems has gone up quite a bit, so there will be increases that affect us. Also, this morning I met with the principal of Summerland Secondary School. He wanted to talk about setting up a youth council, which is sometimes called a shadow council with our council. And I'll be speaking to the mayor and the CAO about that, and we'll talk about how we can bring that forward for all of us to talk about on council. And also, I'll be submitting an expression of interest to fill one of the director-at-large positions that's vacant on the UBCM board. I have no idea whether I'll have a chance to get that or not, but it's been a long time since the South Okanagan has been represented on the UBCM board, and it's probably even longer time since anyone from Summerland has been represented on the board. So I'm submitting my nomination, and we'll see what comes out of that.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to item 16, public and media question period. If you would like to speak to anything of local government interest, please feel free to come to the podium, and you have 2 minutes per speaker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Am I allowed a question or just a comment?
Just a comment, please.
Okay. I'd like to thank you guys for putting together that special meeting, and I was wondering if that's open to the public or not, as far as the carriage house review.
I'm sorry, there was no special meeting?
Well,
It's.
If I used the wrong term, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Yes. We'll be bringing forward, as part of our work plan,
Okay.
some considerations for council to look at and give us some priorities. We certainly have identified some things in the zoning bylaw that we would like to change and/or review. So we're expecting a lot more conversation over in the next several months.
Yeah, but is that meeting open to the public?
When it comes to council for consideration, absolutely, all of that will be in a public meeting.
What is the process of informing the populace as to when that meeting would occur?
Okay, it will depend what the work plan ends up being very specifically. If there are public meetings for which there is some consultation, there'll be newspaper advertisements, it'll be on our website, the usual venue.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much. I'd also like to invite council to have a drive-by and see what this carriage house looks like, because I think you'll be surprised at how ominous it is. Thank you.
Have done, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Janet Peak at 13396 McClure. I wanted to comment to council, and I am concerned about the usage in the skateboard park, and I wonder if staff could take a very hard look at what the opportunities are for it to be used. When I look at the fact that we'll be going into the Christmas break and those young people will have more time and be very interested in wanting to be there, I'm wondering if there could be a harder look at the possibility of that, even if it was in certain hours, it's closed at dusk or whatever. I would very much appreciate for the community's participation possibilities that be examined. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
My name's Tony Zaslak, and I live at 11009 Mitchell Avenue off Prairie Valley Road. And this might be premature, but my concern right now is a property that recently sold on Rutherford and Prairie Valley, and it was Rutherford greenhouses. And right now, there's a number of trailers, and there's a couple boats, and they're digging holes, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. I had the conversation with you today on the phone. I put a few calls into the bylaw inquiring about this, and have not had a call returned. And I'm under the impression that they have just submitted an application to put in a trailer park. But my concern is, why can people go ahead and do stuff without even having legitimate rights to do that? Like they are putting in sewer, or not sewer, septic tanks and stuff. And I think that we need to be a little more on the mark to kind of stop this stuff before proper permits and stuff are submitted and agreed upon. I will be following up on this, and I know that lots of other people have too expressed concerns. And that has been up till this point an ALR. It was a greenhouse, very functioning, fruit stand with, and then hay. So it's a very useful growing parcel. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify a couple of points. In regards to the commitment of use that the Rodeo Grounds Equine Development Committee is looking for, we're just looking for 1, maybe 2 weekends a month, and then maybe consistently a couple of weekday designated use between March and October. Currently, we are available to be able to go and book these dates and just go ahead for the 2019 season, which is something we will intend to do. But it would be nice to know for future ongoing that we would be able to secure consistently for key events such as a horse trials show, that year after year we would be designated this one particular weekend. We're not looking for 24/7 usage of it, which would eliminate things like the Bluegrass Festival or the Summerland Stomp. We want to work with those other opportunities. And the purchase of these jumps is very, very time sensitive. And if we wait till the deferral of January to go through the assessment process, we'll probably miss out.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Barnes from 17814 Whitfield Road. I don't know if everyone is aware how many people in this valley ride horses, because we don't ride them down the streets of Summerland. There are a lot of people involved in equestrian events. We have an opportunity that was not expected with the closing of Top Line Stables to actually bring something to Summerland, but it is time sensitive. Like, if we drag our feet, we're going to lose this opportunity. And it would be really nice to use the rodeo grounds for equestrian events, not being sidelined by other events. I mean, we want to share, we want equal opportunities for everybody, but that also includes equal opportunities for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Hello, Brian Slater from 10313 Ritchie Street. Just in regards to, is it 14-2, the rodeo grounds? I would just like to ask a couple questions to council. To, when you do review this, sooner the better, look into who's done the majority of the maintenance work out there in the past 2 years, who's put the majority of the time and energy into cleaning the facility up and making it renter-friendly for all areas. A lot of this stuff has been done through Lori at the Recreation Department. The volunteer hours that we've already put in there, with and without prior approval, is numerous. I could put together hours list and times and people, and I find it to be quite a shame that a facility that was once in town, where a baseball field went in, that got pushed out of that facility and stuck out of town where it was a more usable area, is now we're being pushed out of there as well. The whole area was constructed by volunteers, by volunteer work, and it was upkept until the time that it was given back to the city, because the groups that were managing it didn't have the means to manage it anymore. So it was released back from a lease situation to the city. Since then, it has been falling apart, for lack of a better term. I have put a lot of time and energy myself into there. I've spent a lot of money of my own money through the Timber Mart, buying bolts and nails and screws and a tractor to make sure that the council, that when they did the grounds, we redid the footing out there. There was no one to harrow that ground, and I bought a tractor and implements for said tractor to make sure that the upkeep was done to it. I've donated my time.
Sorry to interrupt, your time is up.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to comment? Questions from media, John? No? Okay. So could I have somebody bring forward the resolution to adjourn the meeting? Councillor Holmes, Councillor Patton, all those in favor? Meeting is adjourned.